We're back. I like this hook. You got a book you want to tell us about? Well, let's talk. There's no other place to do it. Only on Catch Da Craze. Catch Da Craze. Welcome to Catch Da Craze Podcast Audio Mix. I am your host with the most. And if you act up, I'm going to be Ghost. I am Sam the Crazy Man Vera, and I am with
George Medina.
George Medina.
That's right. George. You're just going to have to get used to it because that's what it's going to be. I've decided that that's going to be my intro. It's either that or you can play the music that you have in there for me.
Do you know the intro that we have for George? Let's see. But you got to dance. Right?
It's going too fast. You can't even stop it, right?
George Medina.
See? There you go. You could just play that.
There you go.
Although that is a little long. I'm not even going to lie. That's kind of, it goes for a while.
Yes.
So what's up, man? What's going on?
How do you do?
I'm, chilling. I got stuck a little bit of traffic coming this way.
Yes.
I don't know what's going on the bridge, bro. There was so much traffic coming this way.
Oh my god. Look at the tropics.
Yeah, there was dude. There weren't even any accidents. It was just traffic for no reason.
Jersey is getting crazy with traffic. It's almost like LA, bro.
Yeah, right.
Especially with that American Dream Mall being built.
That's true.
Route 3.
When does it open?
It's open now. About 15% of it's open. The entertainment side, they have like the Nickelodeon theme park. The theme park's open, but 50% of the theme park's available, which is crazy. It fully opens next year, March. But that traffic, they didn't. 17 years, this thing was in development, over 3 million square feet of entertainment and retail. And they thought it was a joke, that it was never going to happen. And all of a sudden it's happening, and no one planned for the traffic and transportation.
Ouch.
So that's what happens. So now it's like an American nightmare. So this episode of Catch Da Craze is brought to you by. So who do we have on our show today?
Today we have my very good friend, Mr. Jerre Winsborrow. He's an artist, writer, creator. He's working on 5 books at the same time. He's an animal. And his art style is very, very unique, man. He uses a lot of reference, which I think that I think a lot of artists use reference, but it's very photorealistic, the stuff that he does. And I want to talk to him about his process, because he goes in. So yeah, I can't wait to talk to him about it. And it should be fun, man. I met him years ago. You might know him. I think you know him. We met him a while back.
Probably at the cons. Was it Big Apple?
Yeah, I think it was Big Apple.
Because
he
used to have a lot of girls around.
No,
like models, like.
I don't know.
There's one girl on his page that I recognize from the conventions.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that she looks familiar.
Okay.
So I don't know. Maybe, getting old.
He had a book called The Mass State. And I think I'm pronouncing it right. I'll ask him how to pronounce it. But that's how I met him. He actually did, when I was we had an anthology called Hot Tales, Badasses, and it was an all female story book, and he actually drew a few pages for me for a character that I created for that anthology. So yeah, he's very talented, man. And I'm telling you, man, he goes after work. He goes into his lab and he's in there from as soon as he gets home from work, like midnight, depending on what it is. And I'm telling you, he's dedicated to his stuff. So yeah, it'll be fun to talk to him.
Interesting. So what else we got going on the pike?
What do we got going down the pike? Well, this is the last show of November, so salute. Yeah, what the hell? What do we got? Brandy over here? What are you doing?
I haven't been able to sleep.
Oh,
and
okay.
I've been working, and even like last night I couldn't sleep. I got like 2 hours sleep, and so I need to knock out tonight.
Okay.
And so
So that puts you to sleep. That's night juice.
That's perfect for me.
Okay.
Night. Somebody go night. I'm going night.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so I need that just to.
Gotcha. All right.
Don't drink and drive.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
yes.
you're home. I'm fine. I got this.
There you go.
I got. Where's the camera?
He's like, where's the camera?
Thing's right in front of my face.
He dodged the camera and said, "Where's the camera?"
I thought I was looking at that one. You got cameras all over this freaking place. I don't even know where they are anymore. You change them all the time.
Yes. You think NSA got it going?
Yeah. Okay.
It's like when you're looking for your keys and it's in your hand.
Yeah, that's me. Last show of November. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I don't know how everybody spent their Thanksgiving.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving.
This is funny because this is a pre-recorded show, and today's date is really actually, what is today? The 6th of November.
Yes.
We recorded this on the 6th.
Right.
It won't air until the 29th.
Right.
So happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah. And for all you shoppers out there, I hope you had a great Black Friday shopping event and Cyber Monday, whatever.
Right, it's coming. That's
a lot of stuff happening.
Yeah.
Yes.
Christmas is still to come though. That hasn't happened yet. So
okay.
What are you doing for Christmas? Anything specific?
So speaking of Christmas,
There you go.
Speaking of
Segue.
Christmas, let's talk about our countdown
That's
to
how we
Christmas.
do.
So gift giving, right? So for all you comic book fans out there and all of the loved ones out there that you want to get a gift that special someone, think about like those big paperbacks or like the Dark Crystal, the Ultimate Visual History. I happen to own it, and I think it's a great gift. We're right here right now on Amazon.com, and this book is approximately, I don't know how many pages is this book. 192 pages, full of art, background, and stories for the Dark Crystal. It's only $27.86, and if you're a Prime member, like I work for Amazon, right? You get it overnight, right?
Yeah.
That's an option. What do you think of that?
Oh, that's cool.
Right,
I mean,
right?
yeah, obviously. I mean, if you wanna give some really cool gifts, and you know somebody who's into the whole graphic novel, look at this, Masters of the Universe.
Look, yes, Master.
Yeah.
Who
Wow,
wouldn't want
that's
to
cool.
have this, right? This is fantastic. I mean,
That's really cool.
you get the whole behind the scenes of the Masters of the Universe, some amazing art.
How much is that book?
This book, my fine feathered friends, will run you an easy $38.91.
What is
Look at
it?
that.
Is it a big graphic
It is.
novel hardcover bad boy?
Absolutely. So I will tell you, this is
Dude, those cartoons back in the day.
512 pages.
Oh.
This is
That's
the
a
book
deal.
of all books.
That's a deal for 38 whatever.
Yes, right?
I can't see.
You know, so you have, a whole lot of good stuff. I mean, you also have like, what, G.I. Joe? I mean, for the collectors.
Classics.
Dude, if you look up on my ceilings, I'm not going to move the cameras. Do I even have my Joes out? I do have some, like I have the ATV, and I have some downstairs in the vault. I have.
I like that figure you have up there of that character. That was one of your own, right? That priest with the
Yes, that was the Book of Wrath.
the Book of Red.
One of the first projects I worked with Robert Garrett on. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, man.
Yes, good writer.
You guys worked on that together.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. And that was one of the first books I think that we were trying to get into the Big Apple with. We didn't get into the Big Apple until we did Cosmic Wars and Russ. But that was the Book of Wrath. That was my first. I hated drawing it. Because
It was more of a realistic book.
yes,
right? It was,
and I had to.
So he wrote it and you were going to draw it. That's how it was going to work.
No. We wrote it together. Yeah. He, I conceptualized it. He wrote the script, and then I was drawing it, and I had to get all these books on architecture and perspective and
Perspective, man. That's big, dude.
Yes, it was.
That's important.
It was muy difícil.
So how far did you get?
Book one.
Book one.
Yes, book one.
Out of, like, I'm sure an ongoing series.
Yeah, it was supposed to be an ongoing series. But yeah, if you're a G.I. Joe collector, G.I. Joe was a big fad back in the days.
There were tons of these
Yeah.
cartoons, man. I used to love those things. Thundercats, G.I. Joe.
Oh, right. Thundercats are on the move.
Yeah.
Thundercats are loose. Bit it. Let's see. What else do we have here? Let's see. Look at that. For the collectors, if you want the Battle Lion, Battle Cat from He-Man, you can also get that. I actually own this one right here, which is the He-Man Thundercats, Masters of the Universe. This one here.
Weren't there talks about them doing a live action Thundercats movie?
I believe yes. I don't know.
They were saying. I mean, I don't know.
This was 160 pages, and it runs you a
$15.
Easy $12.83.
Mm.
Not bad, not bad. So if you're thinking about giving gifts for Christmas, for a comic book fan or an art fan, think about some of the behind the scenes stuff, the art books. Who wouldn't want any of those? Like the art of Overwatch.
Oh, damn Overwatch.
Look at that. I mean, who wouldn't want some of this?
Yeah.
Right? And
do you still
$27.49. Look at that art. It's just
that's
beautiful.
Cool. Yeah, that's really cool. Do you still have your There's an Alien in My Toilet on sale? Can you still get that?
Let's see. I don't know if let's see. I don't know.
You could definitely. I mean, I mean, if you had it up there, I'm sure they could probably still get a copy of that. There's an Alien in My Toilet. You guys can get copies of that book. You can definitely get copies of my book too. Look at that. There it is, bro.
You can get it for $2.58.
No.
Yeah,
that's a deal. You know how big that book is?
That is cray. It's 175 pages.
Where are you getting this from? Amazon?
Amazon.
New or used?
Yes, new and used. And you get it for as low as $2.58 and as high as $10.25.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense. Yeah. Okay. Right.
So,
I was going to say, Jesus.
Damn.
Wow,
I depreciate it.
But you're there, though. So you could definitely get that.
I'm just a misfit. So that's there. And let's see. What was the other one? What's scary? Is it Mandy? Scary.
Oogly Booglies. You had those on Amazon too?
Let's see. I don't know. No. What was it? Mandy Pandy. Oh, that's what it was saying. Mandy.
So many books. You can also get Russ5377 at medinawhip.com. So check that out.
Oh, look at this. You can get the Kindle edition of Mandy Pandy and the Curfew.
Did you even know it was on Kindle?
By none other than Samuel Vera, which is me.
But the artist on that cover, you want to tell him who that is?
Hector Rodriguez. He's right there. So Hector Rodriguez, he's a fabulous illustrator. Although there's
Hector, we got to get you on the show too, bro. You and Keith.
Yes.
You got to get both of you guys on the show for sure.
And it was edited by Adela Brito.
Okay. She's editing your some other stuff.
Yes, and she also wrote this book called Mambo Farewell.
She did?
Story. Yes, she did.
Good for her.
Yes. Is Russ on Amazon?
No, Russ is on my website.
Okay.
And you can get it on iTunes too.
Oh yeah?
You can download it on iTunes, yeah.
What's it, Medina Whip?
medinawhip.com. And there's a link on there for the show. WIP. Work in progress. We is poor, remember? That's how you remember it.
We is Pope.
How dare you?
There it is. Project Shop.
Go to the shop.
Let's go to the shop. So there it is. Man, he expensive.
I'm an independent artist.
Yeah, so there you go. You got $21.50 for the trade paperback. Is that what it is?
That's a trade, yeah.
Okay, and then you got 99 cents for the print.
No, that's for the download. You can download it for
there
99 cents on iTunes.
iTunes. And then you got Wonder Duck for $10.99.
Yeah.
And you got some shirts,
T-shirts, sweaters, hoodies, all kinds of fun stuff on the website. So yeah, check it out.
Nice. So if you want to give gifts for the holiday. Right. Here's some suggestions, and we'll be doing a countdown to Christmas shows, and we'll if some recommends and things that you think that should be given as gifts, write to us. We'll talk about it on the show. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll be doing monthly live shows on YouTube. And it'll be private for only our followers, for subscribers. So if you have something to say, you want to engage with us and have a conversation, get down with the get down.
There you go.
What else is going on, Georgie?
When's I guess the live show would be next week. We'll be having a live show. Being that this is the last week of November.
Yes.
So it would be next. Take a sip. We'll be on live next week. So you can check that show out. We'll have to get the date for that, and we'll be promoting the date. So don't you worry. You will know.
So now,
Sam is hungry. He's eating.
sorry. This is how we do.
That's how you do.
This is live.
Mine is over here
This
chilling.
is a full-time job for us. So there are a lot of aspiring creators, a lot of talent out there, whether it's they're writers, artists, whatever. How do you know you're good enough?
That's a good question.
How do you know? Because
What makes you great, right? What makes you great? Is it just you in your head saying, "Hey, I'm great," or does it have to materialize in the form of people telling you you're great? What really makes you great? I mean, I don't have an answer. I don't know. I really, we can discuss and talk, but
because there's a bias to it.
Know.
Right. I think we all like to believe that we're better than we are, right? But how do you know you're really good enough? And who decides? Right? What is your measurement of success? How do you determine, what are you using as your metrics?
Well, I think, okay, so you're saying what makes somebody successful?
How do you know you're good?
Success.
Right.
So how do you, like, to me, how do you know you're good? The amount of success you have at something. So how do you know you're a good salesman? I sold these many things. That's how I know I'm good. I'm good because I was successful at selling these things.
Right.
That's more concrete. But when it comes to like stuff like that, like us, for example, how do you know you're a good writer or you're a good artist? How do you know? And I think a lot of that is, again, it boils down to success. But in our field, it's not so concrete, right? Because some people may love your stuff, and some people may hate your stuff. Right. So you may be good. You may still be good, but some people may say, no, you're not. You stink. So I think our stuff is not so concrete.
Right.
Because some people may even say, for example, Stephen King's endings suck. He's not so great. It's all just hype. And then there are his fans who say, no, he's great. Like he's one of the greatest horror writers of all time. But what makes him so great? His success, his longevity. He's been around for a while, dude. Like it's not just by mistake. He's got books and movies made from his books, and so he's had a lot of success. Does that make him great? Some people may say, hey, he may be overrated.
Right.
So you can have that discussion. It goes back and forth.
Right.
How do you know you're good enough? How do we know if somebody's willing to pay for your stuff? I think that's a measure in itself right there.
Right.
Unless they know you. Like if they know you, I guess there's a bias, right?
Well, yeah, the people that know you, they're gonna do the I know you, so I have to buy the first issue.
Yeah, let me support you.
But what will they come back?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I know you. I'm gonna go to the convention because I know that's your first show, so I'm gonna support you. Mm-hmm. But they don't go to the other shows, right? It's I think, and I'll use our experience, right? There are cats that hate the stuff I do, right? It's like, guys that are friends that can't stand the style of art that I illustrate with. They were critics of the way you illustrated Russ, but we still persisted. And are you determining success by response? Or you're determining your success by work ethic, determination, and output, right? Because there's a point where you will get to a point where you have to say, is this worth it? But I think it's the measurement. Some people would think, you know what? There are diehard independents. I don't want to go mainstream. Right? You have it in rap, you have it in art, you have it in all forms, and they won't break through. And in fact, I was watching an interview with Fat Joe, right? And he said that he wished he knew then what he knew now because he made a lot of mistakes because he was all about the streets and I'm not going to sell out and I'm not going to go mainstream, I'm not going to do this. And he gave up a lot of money and a lot of opportunities for growth. He was talented. But he chose to burn bridges and all that other stuff, whatever.
Because he wanted to keep it real.
He wanted to keep it real.
He
he
didn't want to sell out.
Right.
He didn't want to sell out.
Right. And then you see it. We go to convention. I've been out of the art world for 10 years. Slowly working my way back in. And then when you see there's a lot of guys out there, I mean, that are extremely talented and they're still hustling. You know, what keeps them going? If we had the conversation on one of our shows about barely paying for what you've spent just to be at the show, right? Barely making the money. Yeah. A lot of these guys are there, and they're definitely talented. What keeps them coming back? Is success for them just being at the shows? Is success for them being able to produce a monthly book? You know what I mean? That's a question. I think it's all depends on who it is.
I think it's a very personal thing, right?
Yes.
What's success to you? What do you think success is? And I mean, unfortunately, I think for me, success, part of this success for me is doing it and being willing to put it out there. And that is a level of success. Completing a book, you know, something that not too many people can do, right? So like my Rust, for example, 144 pages. When I completed that book, when I finally got it printed and I saw that book in print, I was like, wow, I've succeeded at this.
Right.
But there's levels to that thing, right? So now you succeeded at putting your book together. Mm-hmm. Now the next level of success is getting it out to the public and getting it in people's hands and, you know, eventually going all the way, whether it's a movie, a TV show, or cartoon, or whatever it is.
Right.
Those are levels of success. So I think that success does come in levels, in stages,
right,
so to speak, right? So a lot of us independents, I think that the problem with some of us, I think, is that we become complacent.
Yes.
And we just say, okay, that's good enough.
Yeah.
You know, and we shouldn't. We should strive for more. We shouldn't just say, I'm just going to draw comics and that's what I'm comfortable doing, because I think we stay in that lane. We're comfortable here. We don't want to move from here because this is comfortable. I'm sitting here. I'm just drawing. That's what I do. I draw. But when you're an independent artist, unless you have representation, unless, you know, somebody's willing to, you know, shell out some money and give you a check, you become your marketer.
Right.
You're not just a businessman. You're a businessman. Like, you have to hustle.
Yes.
And if you don't hustle, you die in a sense. You
right.
know,
And one of our we had a conversation with Mark Torres, mm-hmm. and what he said, he is horrible at marketing, right? Which is why nobody knew. We didn't know, and we knew him since
years. I've known him years,
and we didn't know that he even wrote a book.
Right, I had no idea.
So, I guess, was he happy with just being able to finish a project and say, I have something? You know, I think that's where it's like beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Right. Success is a personal thing. But
I don't think that he was happy with just that, because he kept doing the show. And the whole point of him doing that show was to get to network. That's what he wanted to do. He did the show to network. So he didn't stop, even though he was terrible at marketing. And he admits that. He said I was a terrible person. I couldn't get ads.
Right.
He actually surrounded himself with a team of people that could do that.
Yes.
To continue. So that was, I think, to me, if you think about it, you're doing something since 2003, right? It's 2019 and you're still doing it. I mean, it may not be the success that we know of as, you know, somebody who maybe, you know, is on TV and is famous, but there is a level of success to that, right? Because he just didn't give up, persevered.
Which I think is more of a level of feeling accomplished.
Right, it's an accomplishment.
It's an accomplishment, right? And so that's where it gets gray, mm-hmm. You know, because I think about it all the time. You know, when we started talking in the beginning of this year and about bringing the show back, for me to do it, I had to be all in. And you know me, and to do it, that means I needed to market the hell out of it. You know, making sure that I'm trying to get as much. I know that this year was the groundwork for next year.
I know, and I know this is gonna spark something else, but for you, there was no half stepping.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
It was all or nothing.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It is. I have to get the equipment, the headsets, the cameras, the mics. You know, I'm not just going to sit here, you know, with my little headphones from my iPhone, put them on and then record this, you know, with the mic on my, you know, and then upload it. You're like, let me get the sound machine. Let me get this, invest in that. And I mean,
Educate.
kudos to you.
And
man,
educate myself, and that's for me. I think it's a disease also for me because
you're a little sick.
it's a little, for me, it's a little extra, and I'm just
OCD.
I'm just built one way, and it's like, and that's the hard part. Like I know that what we do now is going to set the tone, and I know that it will be successful a year from now, right? This is the groundwork. This is the hustle. And for me, the measure of success is subscribers, listeners, reach.
Right. That's success.
Right.
Correct.
Those are the
Correct.
measurements that I'm
Correct.
looking at.
You don't get that. You didn't succeed. You failed at what you went at. So if there's a goal,
Yes.
and that goal is not attained, it's a failure. It's not success. So,
Right.
that's how you know if you're good enough. I mean, maybe not. I think that's a little harsh because even if you don't get to the 1,000 subscribers, does that mean that you're not good enough?
No, I just think we didn't market it enough.
But it's not on you. It's not because I'm not good. I wasn't good enough.
No, I just think maybe there was something
There
missed
wasn't
along
enough.
the way.
Yeah, there wasn't enough done to get to that.
Right.
And we have to figure out what that is. Again, and it goes back to the last topic we had, which was the fear of failure.
Yes.
We have to say to ourselves, okay, we failed at this, but you can't get down on yourself. You got to say, okay, I'm going to learn from what went wrong,
Right.
not do that again, and move on.
Right. And I think technology is a curse and a blessing at the same time, because I can tell you right now, with all of the social media platforms and all of the access, I say this a lot. I had to speak from a bunch of students from a college. And one of the things that I said to them is you have to be willing to risk and sacrifice in order to achieve your goals. And you have to sacrifice your personal time. You have to sacrifice playing video games. You have to sacrifice all that time, because for every minute that you are distracted with a video game, for every minute that you are distracted by doing something that's not productive or going to help you achieve your goal, somebody else is outworking you, right? So you have to, and that sacrifice comes with reward down the road, right? And you have to risk potentially relationships. You have to risk, that community to build whatever it is you want to do. You have to commit. That means you have to educate, you have to study, you have to hustle, you have to network, you have to put in that work. If you're not willing to do that, what you get is going to be a byproduct of what you put out, and that's the that's the reality. Unfortunate in this game. We talked about this. I look at those 10 years to me was a loss in productivity for me. To having to catch up. So I said, all right, so how am I going to get back into this game? Let's start here, right? And then let's see what happens, right? But it's not going to be from a lack of work. It's not going to be from a lack of commitment. It's not going to be from a lack of, putting out content that's quality. You know what I mean? If it doesn't work, it's going to work. Yeah, I think the idea is success is a measurement. You have to have something to measure what your success is for you. If you're just feeling accomplished, hey, I finished this, I feel good about myself. All right, then that's all good. Live with that. But if you want to be successful, what does it mean to you, and how are you measuring that?
Right.
I think those are the things that people need to consider. Yeah. It's a tough.
Well, I mean, when you ask the question, how do you know you're good enough? There's a lot of, sometimes there's self-doubt. I mean, we all have it. We all have that self-doubt. Oh man, am I good enough? But I think that,
I say it all the time.
Yeah, but I think that there you have to have that mental toughness to say to yourself, like we were saying the other day, you know what? It's almost like you talk to yourself, I am good enough.
Yeah.
I am going to do this. Yep. And I am going to find a way. I was watching that movie. Have you seen that movie that Eddie Murphy has on Netflix? My Dolomite Is My Name.
No, I haven't seen it yet.
It's good. It's a good.
It's
movie.
A series.
No, it's a movie.
It's a movie. Okay.
It's a movie. And it was about Rudy Ray Moore, that comedian who was very funny, but nobody knew about him. But he was an underground sensation. Like he had like a cult following, And he would record his comedy albums in his house. And he would invite people at his house just so that it sounded like there was an audience in there. So he was doing that stuff like guerrilla, like underground until, and even still people didn't believe in his stuff. But he was like, I don't care. He put up his own money. He did whatever he had to do, but he became very famous, in the 70s with the blaxploitation movies and stuff like that. But he was too gutter, like he was too hardcore for the mainstream. So they didn't want to give him money for it. So he just found a way to go in the back door. And sometimes that's what you have to do, right?
Right.
He might have not been as good as, the guys that were coming out at the time, but he said, there is something that I'm doing that people want to buy. There's something about me that people will pay to see.
Right.
And he had that belief in him. He had that fortitude to say, I'm going to do it regardless of whether you guys want to give me a check or not. I'm going to do this. And sometimes that's what you have to do. You have to believe that you are good enough. Even if maybe you're not, fake it till you make it type of thing.
Yeah. But you have to be stubborn and ignorant. Right? Ignorant to the fact that you might not be that good, and stubborn enough to just bypass the critics.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think, they say it all the time. I mean, in the fighting game, it's 80% mental, right? In anything you're going to do, it's confidence. I think confidence sells.
Yo, dude, confident. You look at confidence sells, dude. You look at a guy with like a beautiful girl, and how the hell did he do that? Confidence. That man is confident.
Yes.
That's a confident dude. People are attracted to that.
Yes.
People are attracted to confidence. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Good stuff, Sammy.
It's good stuff.
We got Mr. Jerry calling in a few minutes, and I know that sometimes we'll get these phone calls and we'll just get cut off. We're in the middle of something, but wait, hold on, we gotta go to boom, and we're there. So we're expecting a phone call in the next few minutes. We still have to figure this out. Except again, Herb is not doing his job.
No,
so
Herb. That's why I have the broadcasting equipment here, because Herb's on an extended vacation.
Oh, is he?
Yes.
Yeah, yes. You had to talk with him?
I sent him to the islands.
The islands.
Yes. Rikers Island.
That's great. No, Rikers Island's closing down.
Yeah, I heard.
Heard about that?
Yeah.
Wow.
You ever been there?
No, I haven't. I've driven there. Like, you did time?
Nah, man.
You said that like
cling.
You said that like you looked at me like, yo, you been there?
I was like, send me soap on a rope. No, I did not. I had to testify. This was my security days.
Oh, okay.
I had to testify at a parole hearing in Rikers Island. It's no joke getting in there. You have to go through all these checkpoints. Then you have to get on this bus. First, you go to the bus, get over the bridge, you get there. You go through all these checkpoints, and you get screened and everything, and then you get on another bus, and they take you to these trailers, which they're makeshift offices, and they have inmates that are cleaning. And I'm like, what's gonna stop them from jacking me and taking my gear, right? So you go through all those checkpoints, whatever. It was not a good feeling. I got a feeling.
Oh man,
that tonight's not going to be a good night. No, I was like, so I went there. It was definitely an experience.
Yeah,
definitely an experience.
It was crazy. I'm just wondering where all these people are going to go. Like, where are they moving them to? You know what I mean?
They're doing 2 facilities. Yeah, they're just doing it because of bad rap.
Yeah.
The press that they got. But what the hell Rikers Island. I don't understand how we always get into these crazy topics.
I don't know, dude.
It's the comic book show.
Yeah, But,
I'm drinking my sparkling seltzer water.
We talk, we talk about all kinds of different things, bro. We just go with the flow. We have like a plan, right? It's like the Joker, right? Everybody has a plan. Boom. We're getting a phone call, fellas. All right.
Okay, sorry.
Yes.
All right. This is Catch Da Craze, and we have a special guest on the line.
What's up, Jerry?
Hey, how are you guys?
This is Jerre Winsborrow, everybody. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good.
Good, man. Good. The gentleman who picked up the phone with Mr. Samuel Vera. We call him the crazy man.
Sammy. We met.
How do you do?
We met.
Huh?
We met, I think, a long time ago
Yeah.
in 2012, Big Apple Con.
Yes, I was just talking to George about that.
Was it 2012,
Yeah.
Jerry?
I thought I have in my head.
Yeah. You know what?
Maybe earlier.
I even think it might have even been earlier because I don't even think because Sam took a big hiatus, like a 10-year hiatus. So that would put you before 2009. We've known you for a long time, Jerry. Like I think we might have met you at the Big Apple cons. Remember the Big Apple cons that used to be at the what was it, at the Penn Plaza Hotel?
Yeah. That's
So it was.
where we met you guys.
Yes,
Yeah.
and
We
you,
had the table right. We had the table right next to you guys. The first convention.
yes, you had some models with you.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
I told you.
wow.
I told you.
Sam was like, did he have all the girls? I'm like, really? Did he? I guess
No,
you did.
You know what? No, those guys. That's the table that was across from us.
Oh,
there
was it?
you go. Yeah,
Oh.
there was a
Yeah.
table that had like a bunch. Yeah, you're right.
Yes.
Man, the good old days.
It was like, yeah, I remember that.
Holy cow! That's when you had that book up in Master 8, right, Jerry?
Yeah, yeah, Masti 8, yeah.
Yeah, Master 8. That's right. I remember I have that book. I have that book at home still. I have it. Yeah, awesome. So Jerry, for those that don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us where you grew up and how you got into drawing comics.
Originally from Brooklyn, New York, you know, the Garden State, right, of America. It's actually, you know, my comic thing started with Godzilla, believe it or not.
Godzilla.
You know, growing up in New York, you know, Channel 9, Channel 11,
Yes.
having those monster movie fests.
That was always on a
And
Sundays.
Yeah. And once in a while, Channel 7 had the 4:30 movie. They had a Monster Week.
Right.
Yeah. So, you know, I was always drawing Godzilla, Rodan, all those guys. And, you know, showing my parents, hey, look, I drew Godzilla. And they would be like, yeah, that's nice. But I would be like, no, you don't understand. I got like 400 things going on in this picture. This guy's doing this and Rodan's doing that and blah, blah, blah. So I think even back then, even though I loved to draw, it was more about the story, like what was going on in the picture more than just a pretty picture of Godzilla, you know?
Right. You were trying to tell a story with that one image.
Yeah.
And they didn't understand that. Like,
Yeah, they were like, that's nice, that's nice.
that's cute. Put it up on the fridge or whatever.
Yeah.
That's
So,
funny.
you know, I always loved superheroes, you know, watching Super Friends, Adam West, Batman, George Reeves, Superman growing up.
Right.
And, you know, I always had comics here and there, but I never collected until I saw Godzilla #1 by Marvel Comics. And then I was hooked.
So that's when you started collecting comics.
Yeah. And from there, it led to George Perez's Fantastic Four, Avengers, Amazing Spider-Man, and then at Love at First Sight, Chris Claremont and John Byrne's X-Men.
Oof. Yeah. Classics, man.
And that's when I started creating my own book.
So that led to you saying, okay, I think I want to do this myself. And then you created your own characters, or you started basically just drawing your own stories about the X-Men, or how did that go?
Well, believe it or not, my first book, and I still have it, it's horrible, but it was based on an old movie called Dirty Mary and Crazy Larry, a Peter Fonda car chase movie.
I knew those guys in high school.
Yeah, you know, I saw it on the Friday night Channel 7 movie they had it on. And, you know, it's a regular car chase movie, whatever. But what blew me away about that movie was the ending. You know, it's a heist movie. You know, they robbed a bank or whatever it was.
Right.
And it's a car chase through the South or whatever it was, and they get away. You know, they make it across the border or whatever, and they get away. And then they hit a train, and the car blows up, and the movie ends. And I was like, holy shit. You know, I never saw anything. You know, I never saw anything. As a kid, I never saw anything like that.
Right.
You know? For whatever reason, it compelled me to draw the comic, you know?
So you draw
I'm
the comic based on that movie?
Yeah, from memory, you know. And, from there I started getting into superhero things, and like you said, all versions of my versions of X-Men, Fantastic Four, and whatnot. You know.
Yeah. Because
then finally creating my own book based on some family and friends. It was like a near apocalyptic future thing, inspired by Days of Future Past with the X-Men.
Right.
And I worked on that for a while, never really going anywhere with it, just writing it. Time passes. I joined the military, get married, kids, and everything.
Right.
But always worked on something, writing, drawing, whatever.
Did you have any formal training, Jerry? Like, did you go to school for art, or was this just something that you kind of did yourself? You self-taught?
Well, I was pretty self-taught, but I ended up going to the High School of Art and Design in Manhattan.
Okay.
And until I joined the military, I graduated, joined the military. And, after even my stint in the military, I was, always writing, always drawing. I picked up photography, while I was out there, and which in turn helped me later on. And then later, after I got out and stuff, I always continued to write, trying to work on something, the next big thing. That was the thing. Well, the X-Men is hot. I'll create something like the X-Men.
Right.
And that's when Jim Lee was big. X-Men was in top of its game. So then I read someplace, write what you know, and it'll be good. And it was like a wake-up call for me, and I created Amasti 8.
Right.
Which appeared first premiered at the Big Apple Comic-Con with you guys.
Yeah. How many of those issues did you make?
I just did 2.
You did 2.
Issue 0 and 1. And, I did a couple conventions after the Big Apple, went to the Javits, did a couple of those, and it wasn't well received,
Okay.
It was, I don't know, a lot of people, they couldn't get into it. It was the end of the world, second coming of Christ. It was real heavy. I think I was in my, I was trying to be on my Neil Gaiman thing, you know? So realizing that, wasn't biting, my wife suggested, maybe you should make something a little more commercial or more mainstream.
Right.
And believe it or not, that was like a blow. That was like, you could have took my arm off.
Right.
It was a big thing. And I stopped working for, like 6 months or whatever.
Yeah.
Because it was hard to deal with. I worked on this book for years, and, it wasn't going anywhere.
Right.
And so, when I felt like getting back into it, I was looking over old notes, and I saw a name I wrote in one of my notebooks, Natalia Hyde. I got the name from a magazine someplace, and I don't know, one thing led to another, and I started, putting this idea I had about all the descendants of the legendary monsters.
So this is the Natalia Hyde story, right? So let me see. So you did Amasti 8, right? And you did 2 issues of that. You said it wasn't received very well, and we were having a conversation right before you came on, Jerry, about how do you know you're good enough, right? So this was a moment for you where you were like, you know what? Maybe did you? Well, and I'm not going to assume, but let me ask you: did you have at that point? Did you have that moment where you said, "Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm not good enough to do this"? Did you ever have that thought in your head?
Yeah, it was devastating.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking I'm creating this masterpiece, but at the same time, not fooling myself. Which is why I hit the convention to see if I am not fooling myself. If someone else can get into it and the convention I did with you guys, it was, I did pretty good.
Right. Well, how many books did you print?
For that convention, I probably printed 50.
Okay. Yeah, that's about right.
Not that many.
Yeah.
But it seemed well received.
Right.
But, every convention I went to thereafter, it started dwindling until the last one. It was like maybe 2 books. I sold 2 books. Nobody would come near me,
Right.
And my wife, she was honest with me. She was like, basically, she said maybe it's too heavy. Maybe it's people just can't get into it. You know,
gotcha.
maybe create something a little flashier, a little more mainstream. And I was like, F that, you know?
Bravo.
know?
Bravo.
Wait,
You know?
so what got you past the that time, where you said, "Oh man, this," you said like they took your arm off. What made you say, "You know what? Let me get back into doing this." Like, what was the turning point?
Like I said, it was like I took off 5-6 months, and I would sit at my desk and brood, or distract myself from working.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, maybe she's right, but I won't. Maybe I'll do what I really want to do, but maybe how can I say it? Make it a little more mainstream, a little more. User friendly, whereas somebody could come up to the book without going, right away can tell what it's about.
Right.
Like, for example, the name Imasti Aid, it's a Greek word. It means we are aid. I thought that was great. It was clever.
Right.
It was deep.
Yeah.
But my wife is like, nah, nobody knows what that means. And maybe you're turning people away because of that or whatever.
Maybe it was ahead of his time, Jerry. Maybe you should kind of revisit that. Like maybe you should try to revisit that. Yeah. But okay, so you go and you see this name, Natalia Hyde, and I'm sorry I cut you off before, but okay, so what happened from there?
So I started developing Natalia Hyde, but actually it was an ensemble book. Really, originally it wasn't Natalia Hyde. It was all these legendary descendants of the legendary monsters. Wolfman, Frankenstein, or whatever, and I had a different name. But as I wrote the story, Natalia Hyde just kept coming up to the forefront, and I was like, like I could get into the character more than I could get into the others.
Right.
And I was like, my wife said, well, why don't you just make it, Natalia Hyde and make her the central character? And I experimented with the art and the logo, and I was like, oh, this looks good, and so all the characters that were going to be with the ensemble book became supporting characters, and she was the lead. She became the lead.
And now you have a very interesting, I guess, process where you use models for your characters. So Natalia Hyde who is Natalia Hyde?
Natalia Hyde, and the only model I had in mind she's my niece, Angela. Right away, I thought of Angela for the part. I did, and I said, if I can't get Angela, I'm going to do another book.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Why Angela? Does she remind you of kind of like what the character you were creating, or?
Well, yeah, it's funny because when I sketched it out, it kind of reminded me of her. It was almost, meant to be. And I said, wow, it reminds me of Angela, and I asked her, and she accepted right away.
So what's the story about? What's Natalia Hyde about?
Well, Natalia Hyde is about, like I said, all the descendants of the original legendary monsters, Mr. Hyde, Wolfman, Frankenstein, Dracula. And at first it was going to be your typical, the Dracula takes over the world, Natalia Hyde tries to stop him, all of that. But I was like, that's been done to death. So I came up with an idea that it's everything in our life boils around money. I said, why don't I make it about that? So what happens, the story basically centers around Dracula's brother, Radu, and he wants his inheritance. His brother, took all the money, and he wants his inheritance. He wants what's coming to him. So he wants to steal the Mr. Hyde formula to create this super army of vampires, Mr. Hyde vampires.
Right.
And when that goes wrong, plan B is to get Natalia Hyde to help him get his money from his brother.
Right.
And along the way, all these supporting characters, the Wolf, descended from Wolfman, and Dr. Jekyll, and all these other characters, they join in, and it's a lot of double crossing and backstabbing and things like that.
That's awesome. So this is an ongoing series, Jerry, or do you plan to have? It is an ongoing series.
Well, yeah, I have it plotted out from issue 0 to 6.
Okay.
Actually 7. Yeah, 7.
Wow. So now, and I've always been amazed by the amount of detail you put in your pages. Because I was telling Sam many years ago, we actually collaborated on a story that I had written, and you went in there and drew the pages, and the amount of like just detail you had on like the buildings, every brick, dude. He drew every single brick on the building. Now, tell me about that process. How do you do that? Do you like take a photograph and just trace it on your? I mean, how does that work?
It depends on the picture. Like with scenery, I used to, Photoshop it, and depending on like at the picture, the paneling, I would either freehand it or draw in layers. But yeah, I'm obsessed with details. I'm fascinated, like these guys, like this artist David Finch and Greg Capullo, the amount of details they put in. And, sometimes it could be a downfall because now it takes up too much time, and I'm trying to cut back on it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We're actually on your Facebook page, and we're seeing some of the scenery you're talking about. And I'm like, how the heck?
It's crazy.
It's insane. So you do this all freehand, or you kind of like, how do you do that?
It's a mixture. Well, now, because I use the Wacom, Cintiq Wacom.
Yeah.
I have to whack George a lot. You do your own ink work as well?
Yeah, I do everything.
The ink is pretty solid, bro.
Yeah, it's solid. All right, so go ahead. I'm sorry. You were saying? So you use
now that I work on the Cintiq, I'm able to zoom everything in and hit the details even that much more, which is sometimes could backfire on you because you get carried away.
Mm-hmm.
You and I were talking about how I'm drawing the details on a button on a coat, which nobody really cares about.
Right.
I have to remind myself, nobody cares about the button. Nobody cares that there's 400 leaves in the background on that tree.
It's insane.
You get carried away because you can see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But so yeah, I use photo reference for almost everything.
Right.
My thing is I really want the backgrounds, the people, to look exactly the way it is. I have a thing where I'm sure you guys have seen movies where it says it's Manhattan or a subway in Manhattan, and it really isn't. It's a sound stage or whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so my thing is I want like the 86th Street train station to look like it.
Right.
I want 42nd Street to look like it. So I'm always taking pictures, always.
Right.
We're on vacation. I'm at a wedding. I'm taking pictures.
Just like it's almost like stock photos.
Yeah. I mean, I drive my wife crazy. She's like, we're in Paris, and I'm taking pictures of these back alleys, and I might need this, I might need that.
Sure.
And she's like, is that for the book?
It's just fascinating because George and I just had a conversation about that, about a book that I started out with, the Book of Wrath, and I was annoyed by the amount of detail that I had to put in, and I had to buy all these books on architecture and perspective and all these photo references. You love it. I actually hated it.
Yeah. Well, you know what it is? It's like it's like two parts of me, and you guys know as writers and artists. Yeah. The writer part is like, yeah, I'm going to draw this, and he's going to be walking down Canal Street in Manhattan, and and the crowd is this, and this is happening. But the artist is like, wow, man, this sucks. I don't want to draw this.
Right.
That's me.
That's me. Sam. That's Sam.
I mean, I do it to myself all the time. And in one of my books, I have this big fight on the Manhattan Bridge. I'm like, wow, this will be cool. A big fight on the Manhattan Bridge.
Right.
So one January, I drag my wife there in January to take pictures of the Manhattan Bridge, and now drawing it, I'm like, wow, this sucks.
How long does it take you to draw something like that? Like after you take your photos, how long does a panel take you when you have that much detail?
Depending on the panel, but and a lot of times I try to put the characters in front, or know that I'm going to need room for word balloons, so I don't go crazy. But an average, depending on as far as a heavy detailed panel, it might take me a day.
Yeah. Wow.
7 hours or whatever. It depends.
Sure. Yeah. No, I'm sure. Wow, man. That's and not only okay, so not only do you have Natalia Hyde, but you're also working on 4 other books at the same time.
5 of them.
So you have a total of 6 books, Jerry?
He said, "Don't get it twisted."
Yeah,
He's like, come on, man. It's 6.
I'm a little overextended.
Oh,
A little.
So what are the other 5 books?
Well, like the reason I'm doing 5 other books instead of concentrating on one, which was, of course, my original plan, it's just like, you come up with an idea, or I got inspired by another model or this concept, and I'm afraid to lose it. Right. I'm like, well, if I don't act on this now, I'll either lose the model or lose the idea, and I'll never get to it. So I put it in production. Either I'll write it out, take pictures, and save it, or write it out and, later on I have 2 other books that, in the back of my head that, I'm supposed to take pictures of, but, I told myself to knock it off with that. No more books.
No more books. Jesus, look at this.
Yeah, but, that's my thing. It's like, so what I do is I work on 2 books and then 2 books of this one series, go to the next one, 2 books, and then start all over and letter everything and, so on.
Jeez, man. So you go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you. So your process. So you're writing these, like, are these full scripts that you're writing, or are they just notes for knowing that, okay, I'm going to have to shoot these guys, so let me just get this stock footage for when I'm ready to do that scene. Do you write the full scripts?
No, I don't write full scripts. I usually write a pretty detailed idea, outline of the book, key events and things like that. Sometimes I'll put dialogue in, especially if it has something that, it's something important that I need to remember. And then I go straight to thumbnails, which is, to me, the hardest part.
Okay. Why? Why is it the hardest part?
It's just trying to get the scene just right, the angles, laying out the page so it looks good, the pacing. To me, that's like painstaking. That takes the longest.
I got you. Hey, by the way, Jerry, when you watch this, like when it finally airs and you watch it and you see some of our faces, it's because we're looking at your Facebook page and we're looking at all of the detail you have on one of the city, right? It's a city scene that you showed me.
You had, yes,
dude. Yeah. You had every single light.
I was exhausted just watching it. It was the details crazy.
But you see, the thing is, like, I know I could Photoshop it and put it in there, but then I see guys like Brian Hitch, and he, from what I believe, he draws all of it. So I'm like, well, if Brian Hitch can do it, I can do it.
So you drew all of this, Jerry. This isn't like Photoshopped and you kind of just played with the, with the program. These are things that you've actually drawn.
Yeah, I have drawn. Like I said, I want to Photoshop them. But then I get into this thing where let me give it a shot.
Crap! Oh my!
And believe me,
God.
Yeah, I know. And sometimes I give up, and I'll come back to it, and I'll draw something else, and I'll come back.
Right. My.
You have this scene where this guy has a machete, and he's in an alley. There's a stop sign behind him, and he has a mask on. I mean, that scene is just beautiful. Oh, it's just flawless.
Amazing, dude.
Beautiful.
Amazing.
And the guy with the mask is my son, my youngest son.
Right, and so you use models, people that, and you shoot them in these incredible locations. It's amazing.
Well, I usually shoot the models in a studio or my apartment. But hopefully it works. Like I'll know the location, and I'll go out and shoot it, or I'll shoot it and thinking, hey, maybe one day I can use this.
Oh, okay. And then you put them in that location. Like you'll draw the character, and then you'll place that character in that location. It looks seamless though. Like it's really well done, Jerry. Good for you, brother. This looks amazing, dude. And so you have these 6 books that you're working on. When do you think you'll have them done?
Well, most of them are done. Like I said, I'm doing 2 books of each series, and they're pretty much done. I'm wrapping up a couple of things, and then I have to letter all of them, which
Right.
I'm not looking forward to. And then, the end plan is to launch a Kickstarter
Right.
to, put the books out like that.
Gotcha. Now listen, Jerry. We can talk all night about this stuff, but we're running out of time. I just want you to tell the audience really quick, where can they find your stuff? Like, where can they find your artwork? Where you're going to be if you're going to do a show and things like that. Where can they find you?
Well, right now I'm just using Instagram and Facebook. If you put in Pyramid Graphic Novels, it should come up. I haven't launched the website yet, but it's coming soon.
All right, sweet. So Pyramid Graphic Novels, and that's graphic with it's PYRAMID and then graphic novels, right?
Yeah.
All right, sweet. Jerry, thank you so much for your time, and I really appreciate you coming on the show. I knew we were going to have a good time. I knew you were going to give us a lot of information, and I appreciate you coming, man.
Oh, thank you guys for having me.
No problem, buddy. Listen, we'll talk soon, all right?
All right, sounds good.
Take care, bud.
Have a good night, guys.
All right, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Pretty catchy.
Yeah.
Anyway, that
Dude,
He's
how
talented.
crazy. How crazy are those pages?
talented.
It must take, I mean, he says 7 hours. Like, dude, and he's doing 6 books.
Dude, when I had to just come up with the character designs for Forbidden, I was annoyed. Like, I used to love drawing. Now it feels like labor for me because time.
Yeah.
But he has, what I learned from listening to the interview, which is a great part of what we do because I get to actually listen. He seems competitive. He seems as if he understands that it's his brand, that it's his name. So when he says, I contemplate photoshopping, but then when I think of these other artists, these mainstream artists, I'm like, nah, I can't. Because if, I have to compete.
It drives him.
I have to be in that
drives him.
same playing
Yeah, it
field. You know what I
drives
mean?
him.
I thought that was pretty awesome of him
Yeah.
to attack it from that perspective.
Yeah.
Because you can take shortcuts. I was watching today. It was, I think, on CNN. This kid, he was a gamer, right? And he's banned from, I forgot the game, for life for using some sort of bots to cheat.
Oh, really?
Like a hack, the hackers use or whatever. So he's banned for life. So he took shortcuts, right? And where Jerre is not taking any shortcuts, I mean, he's actually putting in the grind.
And honestly, like, I always thought, and we always had this conversation with Anibal, like, I always thought maybe Jerry, does a little Photoshop work on that thing and, it works out. He's drawing this stuff.
Drawing.
He's drawing everything, dude. Like, and I get it. I mean, he puts the characters in later and stuff like that. But those backgrounds,
Crazy.
dude.
I mean, I swear to you, that one piece, like, I can see that framed really big on my wall. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And there's no color. It's just black and white, but it's amazing, dude.
Yes.
It's amazing. Woo. Anyway.
What?
Uh-oh. What do you got? What do you got going on? You all right there?
Okay. No. I'm trying to figure that out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But no, that was a really good interview. I'm glad he was on the show.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm glad. I mean, I definitely, this is a guy you could talk to all night. We should definitely, like, set something up and just hang out with him. He's freaking amazing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But next week, live show?
Next week, is it?
Well, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Next
it would
week,
be.
live show.
It would be. Next week, live show.
You
More
know.
info to come.
You know what it is? I've
More
been
info to come.
traveling through time and I get caught up. In,
I know.
different
It's
periods.
exhausting. It's exhausting, bro.
George has been keeping up with
It's
the time
exhausting.
zones.
I got you. I'm like
but-
Doctor Strange.
Yes.
All right, brother. So listen, let's call it a wrap because we gotta do some live stuff.
Yes. So thank you all for listening. Remember, we are on iHeartRadio. We are on Spotify. We're on TuneIn. We are on Podbean, on Apple Podcasts. You name it, we're on it. We're on YouTube. Subscribe. join the conversations on a live show. We want to hear from you. You know, we can't
Catch the Craze 1 on
Catch
YouTube.
the Craze 1 on
Subscribe.
YouTube. Yes, subscribe to YouTube, and we'll get it crack-a-lackin'.
Yes, sir.
It's
Who's the craziest?